Welcome to the Parker Daniels Show, where amazing stories are shared.
And be hopeful, hopeful, and he'll make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay.
Welcome to the Parker Daniels Show, where we make changes, no excuses. Today, we're taking a trip to Canada, and we will be talking with JorDel Downz, who's an up-and-coming, aspiring young rapper. Y'all know I used to be a rapper back in the days, as I digress, but it's not about me. If you go further back in the videos, you'll see some of the old stuff that we've done. But anywho, here's another edition of MCs and DJs, and we will be speaking with JorDel Downz, as I mentioned earlier, from Canada. So let's welcome JorDel to the show and see what he has to bring to the table. What's up, man?
Oh man, just just chilling out, just living,
Okay, nothing wrong with that. You've been diagnosed with RP at birth, and you were totally blind until you were 4 years old, in which you regained 50% of your vision. So now you consider yourself to be visually impaired now, or are you totally blind?
Yeah, visually impaired. Okay. just how it works, man. My eyes didn't. Everything else developed. It took the eyes a little bit longer. So, and then when it did happen, it didn't go. Didn't go full. I didn't go full vision. So.
Okay, so you have like 50% of your vision.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit more than that. But it's still.
That's good. You can still see. That's what's up. Now, in your bio, it says you were sent to a residential school for the blind at 10 years of age, and you learned to play drums, which is one of my favorite instruments. And you also sang in various rock groups and whatnot. What made you choose to become a rapper as opposed to anything else? Tell me about that.
I grew up in a musical family, so everybody was singing R&B, things like that. And I like R&B, but I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop music, and I always wanted to do music. Mm-hmm. So I might as well do music that I like listening to, and that's when I wanted to start rapping. Okay.
Yeah, I see also in your bio that you came from a talented family. Are they professionals, or they just like do it for a hobby or anything like that? Go ahead.
Some made it a profession. For others, it was just a hobby.
Okay.
Like an uncle of mine, he ended up touring. He ended up going on tour, and he was a bassist for a blues band, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that segues us into the next question. Overall, what is the music scene like in Canada? Just give us some, a little paint the scene for us. In terms of how the music scenery is, and in terms of just music overall, because I'm later on ask you about the rap scene. So just talk to us about that.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's very diverse. We got our own outlets for music to be played and all that. Mm-hmm. It's similar. It's similar as it is. All over the world and stuff like that. It's just, if anything, the music might be slightly different than it would be in another country.
Okay.
Like just, from the lingo to, just how the instrumentals might sound,
Okay.
But other than that, it's not, there's similarities everywhere, with music in general. So.
Okay. Okay. Again, we are speaking with, you like to be called JorDel?
Yeah, JorDel Downz. I know some friends who just call me Downz. My last name is Downey. But when I really started to do music back then, when I was just a rapper, I would just call myself J Downz.
Okay, I like J Downz. All of them is cool. JorDel Downz, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and J Downz, that's the name of a rapper, like I just wanted to rap back then, but when I wanted to expand my horizons, that's when I changed to JorDel Downz,
that's what's up,
at that point, you don't even know what genre of music I do. You just know you want to, check me out.
That's what's up. I like that. I always think, I always think of expanding, thinking big, outside the box, and that's a good thing. Now, he's from Canada, as I mentioned earlier. We're doing another edition of MCs and DJs from the home of Drake and what have you. What post? I mean, I see you are a fan of some of my favorite R&B artists like Keith Sweat and TLC and Jodeci.
That's what I grew up on.
Okay. And you also inspired by people like some more of my favorites, Nas and DMX and Andre 3000. Yes. What made you become a student of those individuals as opposed to maybe Drake, who's like from Canada and what have you?
Yeah. I'm a 90s guy, like I was born in 1990. So it just kind of happened like that, like people like my sister's like boyfriends, they'd always listen to hip hop, and sometimes they would just either give me CDs or they would buy me CDs and stuff like that. So I got albums like It Was Written by Nas, and I got albums Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood by DMX.
Oh yeah.
Albums like Capital Punishment by Big Pun. That was another. So the hip hop was always there.
Okay, so do you consider yourself a lyricist? I mean, I've heard some of y'all stuff, and I'm telling you, I'm not just saying it. I've heard some of the stuff and the works, which we'll get to later, and they're off the chart, off the chain, as they say. So you consider yourself a lyricist when it comes to rapping?
Not really. I mean, I do believe that I'm pretty dope with the lyrics, but at the end of the day, I'm more about flow and how a song is arranged. I like to write. I like writing a good song. There's some artists who just want to, and I listen to those artists who just want to compete with theirself on how lyrical they can be. And that shit is fucking amazing. Like, it amazes me when I hear stuff like that, but I'm just the type of artist. I just like to write and arrange a good song, whether it's rap or not.
Okay. Again, for those who just joining us, and I hope that you stay for the rest of the interview, we're speaking with JorDel Downz. Would you like to be considered a visually impaired rapper, or just a blind rapper, or what would be, or you don't really want to focus on that title at all?
These past years, when I first started, I didn't want to be considered a visually impaired anything. That's just a thing, I would always, when we're talking about the quote white quote rapper, right? I don't even classify. I don't even do that. I don't do the female rapper thing or the white rapper, the Latino rap. They're just rappers to me. So I with that, going with that, it's the same thing with people who are visually impaired. I don't mention that they're visually impaired because it's more about the music. And another thing is, I don't really like to be considered as just a rapper, because I'd rather just be called an artist, because lately with what I've been doing, I like to mix rapping and singing. I started off singing before I got into the rapping, and then I'm back to the singing a little bit, but just kind of combine the two because I like both.
Okay, which brings us to why you kind of like would prefer Andre 3000 and people like even 50 Cent, who kind of bit off of what's the guy's name? Jeffrey Atkins is his real name.
Ja Rule.
Ja Rule. So are you a fan of those?
I was more of a 50 Cent guy, but I still listen to Ja Rule's music. I didn't really have when that whole beef was going on, I was still listening to both their music,
Exactly, I was too. But I think that 50 Cent did take a little bit, as we digress, from Ja Rule.
Oh, of course.
But getting back on target, more specifically, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to talk about that. What is the rap scene like in Canada? If you can briefly tell us, because I know like Drake comes from there, and I don't know.
Lanes,
Cardinal,
Chaos, all that, the rap scene here, it's it's changing, you know, like it's changing kind of like how it is all over the world. Like you got artists who I wouldn't consider rappers. They're more singers to me, but they call it rap, you know? And it's kind of happening like that over here in Canada. Then you got your traditional rap artists, you know?
Well, aside from Drake, because that's the only one that comes to mind, name me somebody that's up and coming. I know JorDel Downz is up and coming, but name me someone else that people may have heard of that may be up and coming. Because I have a surprise for the people later on that you've done some work with, and they probably heard of it. But just off the top of your dome, and that's head for those who don't know. Name me some rappers that are.
Oh man, you put me on the spot because there's so many.
We got to mention you for sure.
Oh yeah. Me. There's I can actually mention a couple of artists that I work with personally. That she goes by the name of Jet Lee's.
Okay.
And she's a cousin of mine actually, and I work with her a lot. Her music, I help, you know, produce and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of another one here.
We'll come back to it. Don't worry about it. You know, just more specifically, we know that you're gonna make it happen. So regardless of who else is out right now, you're gonna be the next. You mentioned some rappers like Nas and DMX. I see you didn't mention Tupac. Is that an influential rapper of yours?
He had some influence, you know. I remember listening to a bit of Tupac, you know. I listened to Biggie a little bit more. That's just kind of how what was more available.
Right.
To me at that age was more Biggie than Tupac.
Okay.
You know, it was weird. Like even Jay-Z came a little later than that. You know, like for me, that when it comes to music that was available,
he was one of my on again, off again artists. But anyway, as we speak to JorDel Downz on another edition of MCs and DJs on the Parker Daniels Show, I want to ask you about some of your works that you've done. Tell the people, because I know about this mixtape, I'm going to ask you about that later, but tell the audience some of the works in which you have done over the period of time, because you say you started rapping when you were 14, so what were some of the things that you've done?
Well, I released like just this local mixtape project like December 2009. I was part of a rap duo. We called ourselves T Cross and J Downz.
Okay.
Just kept it simple like that. You know, we were doing our thing with that. And then we both went solo, sort of thing. That was when I actually like 2013. So it was like a few years later. I released my first mixtape called Win or Die, and that kind of showed my skills off, you know, a little bit with the singing and the rapping, you know. And funny enough, had like, you know, it still had T Cross on that mixtape, like, you know, 2 or 3 times, you know. And then a couple of other artists because at that point I was part of a collective called Northern Union.
Okay. Now I want to ask you about that mixtape Win or Die. How did you come up with the title, and what's the significance behind it, and what have you?
That it just all came down to, you know, it's gonna kill me if I don't win, you know. I was that determined to win, you know.
Okay.
Like I have to win, you know.
And how has the mixtape done for you thus far?
It was great. I got a good response. I got nominated, though I didn't win, but I got nominated for a couple of awards, you know, just local stuff.
Okay, that's what's up. And you also did a collaboration with a well-known artist whom I've heard of before, Joel Ortiz. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it was just one of those, well, I was living because I'm from a town called Sudbury, and it's in the province of Ontario.
Mm.
And I'm from Sudbury, but I ended up moving about 6 hours away to go into college in a city called London, Ontario. And that's kind of another big city for hip hop. It was at the time. I think it still is. I'm just kind of out of touch because I'm back in Sudbury.
Mm.
But he ended up coming through the city because he had to do a show there. And it just so happened that the studio that I recorded at, my friend's studio, he ended up coming through there. So we got to chop it up a little bit.
Mm.
I sent him the beat prior to meeting,
Mm.
and he liked the beat.
Everything was history, huh?
Called Count Me In.
Okay.
And
all right. So y'all plan to do any more collaborations, or that was just like a on the spur of the moment type thing?
That was just a one-time thing. I mean, if the opportunity comes again, then yeah, I'll do that. Because
okay,
dope artist. I listened to a lot of his music in high school. It was pretty crazy. I was big into Slaughterhouse in general. So.
Yeah, I've heard some of their works. Now, this was a big problem of mine when I was pursuing a rap career. And I don't know, you may not have had this problem. I don't know, but how difficult as a visually impaired person, an artist that's pursuing a music career, how difficult was it to get around to to promote and things of that nature? Because I see you had teamed up later on with some of your family members, so that probably helped out a little bit. But as far as you being visually impaired and trying to pursue it, because I know, for me it's like I really wanted to do it, but because of the fact I was totally blind, it kind of like, man, if I could see I would be able to do this. It kind of set me back a little bit because I really wanted to pursue it, but I didn't have the ability as much as if I had, if a sighted person. So how was it for you?
I just had to learn living in London, which is a city that's a lot bigger than where I'm at right now.
Mm.
I just had to learn the bus routes, man, and take the bus everywhere, like walk and use my GPS. And, I started to know a lot of people there. So it's just one of those like, hey, bro, like, where you trying to go? Situation, hey, I got a performance, so I got to be at this venue, like it was just, I just had to go out and like meet new people and just go from there.
Okay. Now, were the club owners or booking agencies, were they kind of reluctant to kind of book a visually impaired artist, probably thinking they wouldn't sell or this and that and the third? How was that? Or did you run into any situations such as that? Surprisingly
not. There was one thing where somebody where they asked me, he's like, do you want to sit down when you perform? And I said, I don't sit when I perform. You can just show me the perimeter of the stage and I'll go from there. And it was, there wasn't even any arguments or anything. They were just like, all right, cool. And
okay. And what was the crowd reception like? Did they receive you very well when you performed, or they were stared, or how did they view you?
Very well.
Great.
It's the same shit that happens over and over again. Some people don't know what to expect. Some people don't expect it to be as good, and at the end of the day, everybody likes it.
Right. So in the end, what's next for JorDel Downz? And tell the people where they can find your works. And I will be getting some of the links, so I'll put it in the description. But what's next for our JorDel Downz in the music?
Well, after I released my newest mixtape entitled "The Getaway," which is just sort of my introduction into more soulful music. I plan to continue with that, being part of a series of EPs, which has the same name as the 1978 Kung Fu cult classic 5 Deadly Venoms.
Mm-hmm.
And my project's called The Scorpion. It's produced by a producer by the name of James Stang, and and it just has the, continuing with the soulful vocals, and it's it's going to be under a distribution label called Legendary Entertainment.
Okay.
It's going to be released on September 27th. September 27th of this year. Another thing is I've been doing I just did a TV gig. It's this show called the Tailgate Talent Show. I just did that last Saturday, and I'm on my way to the finals, which is also going to be on TV.
Okay.
It's just I keep getting more opportunities, and things I keep looking up for my career, and it's just great. It's a good feeling.
And now you've done the Parker Daniels show, which I am glad to have you. I mean, I heard your interview with my mans, and I said, man, I gotta have this guy on here and whatnot. And I'm glad that we finally worked it out so you can come on. So with that being said, what single is popping right now in your hometown?
The most popular song I got out right now?
Yeah.
It's probably Hard to Smile. It's called Hard to Smile.
That one, that cut. Definitely, man. I want y'all to check out JorDel Downz. Where could they find the music again? If you didn't mention it.
DownzMusic.com. That's DOWNZ music.com. DownzMusic.bandcamp.com, and you could also find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and other major outlets.
And I urge you all to check it out. I urge you all to subscribe to the Parker Daniels show so that you can get interviews like this. It's very interesting. Definitely, I'm not just saying go support him because he was on the show, but I actually checked out some music and I enjoyed it. If you're looking for something different as opposed to nothing against the rap that's out there now, because like I said, I love rap. But if you're just looking for a change, something different, this is the guy to check out. So with that being said, tell the people why they should subscribe to the Parker Daniels show. If you have you checked out some of the videos? I know you have.
I checked out a couple of videos. You guys got a lot of variety, a lot of stuff to talk about. It's an interesting podcast to listen to.
Thank you.
It's just that simple is why you should check out the Parker Daniels show.
Okay. He's a bit laid back, y'all. I know he doesn't always have this demeanor, so I'm glad he was in himself today. So that's what's up, man. I really appreciate you coming through, man, and blessing me with this story. And I'll let you know when it goes up so you can check it out, though. So with that being said, y'all, thanks for subscribing. Thanks again, JorDel Downz. He's
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Okay.
Yes, I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it. Let it take you away.